You know, I'm not fanatical about these people, you know. I'm actually trying to live my life. I'm actually trying to get on with the work that I'm doing and set up my business so that I can employ others as well as myself, you know. I've got a lot of ideas to share. I want people to work with me. I want them to work with me and realize that if they gave me all that money they're giving to these idiots, give that to me. Let me show you what I can do. Because people will actually believe what I'm saying for a start. Because I'm not here to to con anybody. Yeah. Sometimes it's like with my music, you know. Sometimes you have to let go and let others do what they're doing. I want them to do it my way, you know, and play it my way, you know. Oh yeah, yeah. But then it's me, innit? I might as well have done that myself. The beauty of working with others, right? When you allow it, it's like a flower. Don't cramp it. Don't put weeds around it. Don't, you know, shelter it. Take, you know, try to hide it away from the sun or whatever. Don't overwater it. Just naturally, just allow it to develop and prosper by itself. Nature will find a way. We're part of nature, and we will find a way. All government has become is a tool of restriction and oppression, designed to keep the the money in the hands of the rich and powerful. But you know what money? For all that they claim to have and own, they're not happy. Not a single one of them. I guarantee that. They'll never get happy until they reclaim their humanity. And there's only one way they can do it. And that's why, you know, it shows, do they really want to be a part of humanity, or do they want to be separate from us like some alien species? Because we've got open arms. That's the thing. Our arms are open, wide open to say, come back, you know, and be forgiven. Change your ways and be forgiven. It's like they just don't want to live like that within our community. And that says something. Because how anybody can give their consent then to that kind of person when there's other people out there that actually talk sense or truth or would actually do the right thing? That is incredible. You know, those people clearly don't want to believe that they are stupid. But, you know, I don't know, is there some kind of brain disease or medical condition? You know, like they've got some spongy brain or something, like mad cow's disease. They'll just believe anything without going and finding some proof about it. I don't just want to talk, you know. I'd like to be quiet, meditate on my own things. But there's such a need for this kind of basic common sense in the world. You know, that's why I'm now driven to do this. All I can do is the best that I can do. I'm one man, you know, and that's the power of the corporation. The corporation is like having Superman on planet Earth, you know. Superman's a fiction, okay? He's not real, obviously. But let's use the idea of it, yeah, to teach us something. Right? The corporation is like the man times 10. Okay, whatever a man could do, the corporation could do it times 10, yeah? So if he's like Superman, what kind of Superman is he? Is he a loving, nurturing Superman with the same kind of virtue and value of the one that we see being pushed in the comic book? Have people even analysed that Superman that's pushed in the comic book and realised that the Superman where he came from in the early comic books, where he might fight against a corrupt landlord or a corrupt politician, you know, things that mattered to people, things that was very real and grounded in reality. Well, he doesn't do that now, does he? He fights super villains. And all the while, in the real world, such a politician exists, which may be corrupt. But in the comic book world, the idea isn't even conceived. People I don't know whether it's the editors or the writers or, you know, the comic code authority, you know, the people that influence this. Even government writes the comics and says, can you write, you know, do an anti-drug issue, you know, the Spider-Man issue, you know, and do an anti-drug issue. And, you know, all right, people have got a conscience about those things and they want to try and help. But that just shows you that if the government says so, people will almost feel obliged to do these things. Like that, they want to honour something. They want to say, okay, there's something bigger than me here. There's an idea, a principle, like what the founding fathers gave the Americans. By giving them a constitution, the people felt that, I am a part of the security, rather than being in jail, because that's what the world's become, a giant prison cell where they're saying, we're the security. Well, you're just prison guards, aren't you? That's all they are, the prison guards protecting, their wealth and keeping us inside this limited sphere of living. That's the Matrix. That's what it is. That's why in the first Matrix, everyone's looking at the police and the agents, and that's representing government as we see government, and saying, okay, that's government and they're bad. And but as you know, if you really look at it as an allegory, by the second and third movies, you are changing your own misconceptions about what's really going on and how to actually affect a change. Yeah, violence begets violence, doesn't it? And you can't really talk to somebody, 5 minutes after just try to strangle them. So that's not going to work as any kind of long-term solution, or even short-term. It's just not going to work. It might feel good to some people, yeah, because that's human nature. We've got adrenaline, we've got these things in us, and people know how to goad people, don't they? We're adults. People can say things and use words as weapons, and that then makes people want to respond. That's why when someone comes to your door like a bailiff and says, I'm going to do that, that's a threat, which is then taken as assault, because he's made an attack. And obviously, what would be the defense to that? If I says, well, no, you're not allowed because the law doesn't allow you. There you go. That's the law. And he's saying, no, I don't respect the law. In the way that they try to give themselves a reason for an opportunity to try and do that. But they'd only be breaking the law if it's done without consent, wouldn't they? That's not civil at all. That's just mafia. That's how the mafia does it. And we haven't set up a government for that. We haven't set up a country like that. Common law doesn't allow that. And if people knew more about their history, instead of calling it the Middle Ages, the Dark Ages. You know why it's the Dark Ages? Yeah, it's because they don't teach you about it. When I was in school, I remember being in history, and I would have loved to hear all of that interesting stuff that I'm now finding out about, about the times when common law was being created even. And from the Anglo-Saxon time, things like that. And, never can anybody claim to have all the truth. No one can claim to have all the truth, because that's like knowing all the things, all the knowledge, We can know a lot. But no one can have all the truth, and certainly they're not going to have your truth. Okay? That's why, I'm not here, and I don't want to fight them. I want them to correct themselves. Just like your friend, if you see your friend going down the wrong road and he's taking the wrong path, you say, listen, friend, correct your behaviour, You got to be a good friend. Yeah, it does no good to any of our society, right? By trying to find issues of contention. We'll only win by agreeing, all of us. They lose when they don't agree with us. That's why people know what's coming. They know that the collapse of the system is imminent if they don't solve it. And the collapse of the system is not going to necessarily be a good thing, because have you seen the desert of the real? Do you know what really exists? If corporations and the people that run those corporations and the knowledge and the scientists and everyone like that just disappeared, most average people couldn't run any of this system, and that's part of the problem. That's why it's viewed as a technocracy, because the people with the know-how are going to run the system now. It's almost like the engineers are rising. So in a way, they're propagating things like Zeitgeist and the Venus Project. I've heard it mentioned plenty of times. I think one of the death knells of what the Zeitgeist Project was the fact that the House of Lords started to band it around. Because when you hear a good idea, it's just a good idea, isn't it? It is. It's a good idea. Let's have a resource-based economy. Yeah, that's a good idea. Because money, you could just keep inventing that. That's not the state of the real. If I can, buy all the water in the world and then there's none left for anyone else, just because I've got the money and I don't then see the danger that presents to the rest of the world and us all surviving. The rich man can't survive in the world by himself. That's why he's got money. He's got no skill. He's got no talents hardly, apart from probably making money. I'm talking about these ultra rich people who, them as being rich for nothing else other than fraud, other than the fact that they are sat in the position of power and they're going to cream what they can cream. People who supposedly are only making 40,000 or 100,000, pounds or dollars or whatever it is for a year, and they serve 4 years and then they come out multimillionaires and nobody even bats an eyelid and says, listen, you've had no time to do anything else. When did you get time to have a second job if you was doing your job properly? Prime Minister's always going about, we don't sleep. We're up till o'clock in the morning and up in the morning because, I would imagine that is a very, very, very stressful job. But, they've taken the easy path. This is the path to the dark side that they have taken in order that they can have a easy life themselves. They'll take the backhanders. They'll make this, that, and the other. They'll say, oh, we can't do that. We'll let the corporation do that. We don't know how to do that. We don't know how to drill for oil. I'm just a guy who went to Eton, and I know about sandwiches and cricket and, big teeth. I know about suntan beds. Their skills are not really skills. And half of them, they're not even people who can orate, people who can talk, people who can debate. Otherwise, you'd be seeing them having proper debates. If I was a Prime Minister, I'd have no problem talking to people. I'd have no problem with them talking to me. The only problem I would have is that there's only so much time on Earth. That's it. But I would imagine that, if he was doing his job properly, it would just be an endless line of people coming and saying, can you help me to do this? Can you help me to do that? Can you help me to do this? Surely there would be nothing more rewarding than helping those people. So therefore, because he's invited and previous people have invited the evil into their office, it's like that evil lives there with them, and it hurts them as much as anybody else to be there, to be a part of that. They're giving their life energy themselves to such an evil thing, which may eventually end up with the whole entire human race destroying our own planet. Incrementally reducing the standard of living and creating hatred and breeding these things. What do you think the Bible's talking about? It's talking about the spirit as if it's a living thing. You need to understand it's like a living thing. Just as you are alive and you can't even conceive or comprehend why and how you came to be. I'm not talking just by your mum and dad and, sperm and all that and eggs and being born like that. That's not consciousness, is it? Why isn't some other consciousness in my body? I'm in my fucking body, aren't I? And you're in your body. That miracle that you're a part of every single conscious moment, that should just be waking you up. That is being awake. Time people recognize we all have great power within us, great potential. Okay? But we've got to do great things. No one right now should be looking for an easy solution, because there is no such thing as an easy solution. Everything about the human race has taken hundreds of years, thousands of years. It's taken a long time, and people died and shed blood. And do we want to go back to that? No, we don't. We don't want to go back to that. Right? And if there's a real problem, they should have the balls and admit it. Now, I recognise there's a problem. We're talking about things like the bees dying. That's a big problem. If the bees die, we're dead. Talking about the price of petrol, because there is none. And those that do have it, they're just storing it, because they know the value of such an asset. We're on a finite planet and it's finite resources. But this is no time to actually start panicking and losing the plot, because there's plenty of alternatives. And if we act right now, we can do it easy.